everybody, in this video you're learning about logical operators in Python. The agenda of my video will be understanding about logical operators and types of logical operators that are AND, OR, and NOT. So let's get started. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to open that project that we created, that is Python training in PyCharm. So here I've opened up that project called Python training in PyCharm. So the first operator in the list is going to be AND. So in order to demonstrate that to you, I'm going to declare a num1 variable. So num1, I'm going to set that to 10. Okay, 10, and then we'll have a num2, which is going to be set to 20. There we go. And now we'll have a conditional statement. So we'll write if, and we have not talked about conditional statements in the Python series yet, but of course, later in the Python series, we'll learn about these. So we have an if statement here, and basically it is used to check a condition and execute some code if that condition is true. So we'll write if num1 is greater than let's say 5. Okay, so now if I put a colon and I simply do print, for example, if statement, there we go. And actually now if num1 is greater than 5, then it's going to print out if statement. But where's the AND operator in this? So we're going to add this AND. We'll say AND num2 is less than 10. Okay. So this statement now, this if statement here, will get executed if both of these conditions or both of these statements are true. That means if num1 is greater than 5, and then it will also check if num2 is less than 10, and only then it's going to print out if statement executed, or else it's not going to print that out. So if this condition is false, we'll write an else statement for that. So this else statement will get executed when both the if and the elif conditions are false. But in our case, we don't have an elif condition right here. So it's going to get executed if this if statement is false. Okay, so now instead of here, for the else statement, we'll just do print. We'll print out else statement. There we go. Else statement executed. And now I'm just going to hit the run button right here. It says else statement executed. Now why is this doing that? So first we'll come over here and check this condition. That is if num1 is greater than 5. And that is correct, right? The value of num1 is 10. And then it straight away doesn't execute the code inside of here. It goes, it sees this AND, so I have to check this also. It says that. And then it comes over here and checks if num2 is less than 10. That's not correct, right? It's false. That's because the value of num2 is 20. So over here it is true, and over here it is false. So actually, like I said, if all of the statements are true, then only then this is going to get executed right here when we are using AND. Okay, so here one statement is false, so this code does not get executed. It goes inside of the else statement and it prints out else statement executed. So now let's go ahead and talk about the OR operator. So where we have specified AND, we will just simply change that to OR, the OR keyword. So basically this OR keyword is almost similar to the AND keyword, just that this OR, for it to get executed, it just needs a single condition to be true. Not like AND, which needs all of the conditions to be true, right? And there's this thing for OR that if all of the statements or all of the conditions are false, then it won't execute the code inside. So now we have specified OR, and now let's go ahead and run this program. It says if statement excluded. So let me just explain this right here. So first, it comes over here to this if statement. And then it checks if num1 is greater than 5, which is true. So it'll go right inside of here, and it'll execute the code inside. Right. And actually, before executing this, I'll also check this statement, okay, or this condition. And this condition returns false, right? Because num2 is not less than 10. It's greater than 10. It's 20, right? But as you already remember that here, this first condition or this first statement had returned true. So now, because of that, that's how OR works. It just needs one condition to be true, and then it will execute the code inside here. But if all of these conditions were to be false, then it will just skip to the else statement. So let me show you that. Here where we say if it is greater than 5, I'm simply going to change that to if it's greater than 20 or something. So now when we go ahead and run our program, it says else statement executed. That's because both of these conditions or statements are false. Okay, so all of the statements are false, so it skips this part. It doesn't execute the code here. It goes to the else statement and executes the code right over here. Right? So let's change that back to 5. Now let's go ahead and talk about the not operator. So the not operator is used to invert the if statement or the elif statement, okay? So if this if statement returns true, then actually it won't execute the code that is inside. It's like it has returned false, okay? And if it actually returns, and if it returns to be false, then it'll execute the code inside of here, and it will be as though this if statement has returned true. So I hope you understand that. Now let us write this. We'll write not, and then parentheses. We'll wrap the full if statement inside of that. Okay, so there we go. Now let's go ahead and run this program and check what will be done. It says else statement executed. So why is this? Let me explain. So now we have this if statement right here. So first it'll check this condition, okay? It checks if num1 is greater than 5, okay, which is true. And then it'll check or if num2 is less than 10. So this statement is false and this statement is true. But because we're using or, this is going to return true, right? And then it doesn't execute the code inside of there. We have this not operator right over here. And as I said, if it returns true, then it's going to return false, something like that. And if it returns false, it's going to be as though it has returned true. And that is why it executed the code that is inside of the else statement, that is this print statement, and did not execute the code that is inside of the if statement, that is also the print statement. Okay? And now with that, I hope you've understood about the and or not operators and not operators in print. So let's just recap. The AND operator checks if all of the conditions or statements are true, and only if all of them are true, it executes the code inside of the statement, inside of the condition, okay? And if all of them, if one of them are false, then it does not execute the code. And whereas or at least one condition should be true, or else it will return false. Okay, if one condition is true, then it's going to return true and it will execute the code inside of the statement. And if all of the conditions are false, then it will return false and it will not execute the code inside of the statement. And now at last we have not, which simply inverts the statement. So if the statement has returned true, it's going to be considered as though it has returned false. And if it has returned false, then it will be considered as though it has returned true. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.